Good evening, everyone, and I am working on my piece for our video one, and I have given this a lot of thought and done the checklist, which I had some surprising results from, so I thought I would share those with you. Um, The first question about having stronger physical, emotional, or cognitive responses I found interesting because a lot of my responses I felt like were physical, um, and I had some emotional. I had fewer cognitive, even though I guess in ranking, I would probably put those kind of in a lesser category as far as my response because I just feel like when I'm able to process it mentally, I am a little bit better off than the emotional or physical response feelings that I experienced. So I'll get right into it. Um, the strongest emotional responses came from the part three that was beliefs and ideals and that you've lost. And mine really comes around from having a mom with borderline personality disorder and realizing that the level of high nurturance that a lot of people receive when they're younger was not a part of my life. And there's a lot of pain around the loss of that. And this triggered some thinking about that. And so I was able to kind of reflect and think about where I am at and how that has kind of shaped me. And I continue to grieve this one. And so this is something that I do need to work on as I progress through life. And I probably will work on it my entire life. Um, the rest of the questions below that were also involved in that. My childhood caregivers knew how to identify and fill all my developmental needs effectively. Definitely not. In most cases, I was the one filling emotional needs, and you find me here today as a social worker because of those very feelings. I became very successful in my role as the support person, and I have no significant psychological wounds. Definitely, I do. And so acknowledging that is painful, but I have to because it's just a part of who I am. And I find myself um, going to the next one, which is I was not or am not addicted to anything. And I think that I have an addictive personality. I am not what I would call unhealthy, but I have tendencies towards extremes. And so overeating or undereating or doing things all or nothing. And I think that stems from having a mom who was always in such extremes and she put us in a place where that was a norm. Um, the I know how to grieve effectively is the other one that goes in that category. And I definitely I do to an extent, but if other people are feeling emotions around me, I tend to become the support person and I will not then expose my own feelings as much because I don't want to be considered, well, not mentally weak, but mostly I just want to make sure that I'm there for them first. And then my feelings get dealt with later, I suppose, even though often they don't because there's not time. So that one was another emotional response that I had. And then I know how clearly how to protect my kids from psychological wounds. Well, I have a child who's 4.5, and I have her being taken care of by my mother. And my husband and I have discussed extensively the impact of that and what it looks like to have her in our lives as a grandma. And it's a challenge because I have wounds from her that I may not realize. and I don't want to pass those on. And so we guard carefully the visitations and what it looks like and where mom's at with her emotions. But it's definitely a process. And um, so I think that one of the things that it talks about on here is what I need to work on is to process that loss of childhood securities and just really understanding where I'm at and how I can be stronger and better and work through those situations. The other ones that really had an emotional impact um, were the ones that were around the loss of a child. I have experienced that, and it's really painful. And so looking at all of these other losses that are, to me, so much more cognitive, like I was saying, that are not as what I would consider painful, like the loss of vacation, for example, because I'm really busy right now and we usually go on family vacations and we're not able to participate in those right now. That's just not quite at the same level as, say, the miscarriages that I've experienced and the pain around that. And in those losses, I have experienced loss of friendships and loss of other things because of other people's beliefs. And the way, I mean, we have a genetic anomaly in our family. He's the carrier of it, and it creates a lot of pain. And so there is a loss that we're processing right now, particularly painfully, that is around the loss of being able to be a mother to a typical child. And that may sound selfish from the outside world, but I am not able to actually successfully have a child that will grow up and do all the things that other people may do. My child does have a disability, and we work on that and take care of her very well. And she is very lucky to have all the support she has with us. And we love her, and she makes our life amazing. But even in her birth, it's something that a lot of people may not be able to relate to. There was a loss of the future that you have set for your child throughout pregnancy. You kind of don't realize it, but you put out expectations of, oh, you know, my child's going to be a doctor, or my child's going to be a wife, or my child's going to be a husband, or my child's going to have a great relationship. And then when she was born, we found that that actually really changes, because suddenly now you're worried my child may never walk and my child may never talk. And she's 4.5 and she still doesn't use language very strongly, and we work on it and we give her lots of ways to communicate. But it's still a feeling of loss, and I have to acknowledge that and not feel shame in acknowledging that, because it's a painful thing to acknowledge to other people. And I guess I just continue to work on that, and I will continue to work on that. So I'm going to go on to the next question. Which items, if any, had you not considered as losses to grieve or were a surprise to you? The ones that I had not thought of before were changing residence and life events that create change, and how that can also be a loss. We just moved, and that is a loss. I mean, we said goodbye to the house that our daughter has grown up in so far, and we're moving down the street. We still have the house, but it's still that it's not our residence any longer. And so I just kind of reflected on that as the move is happening and thought about, wow, I am having this loss. And those sorts of things are kind of a little easier to take than the other heavy emotional things I've shared so far. I guess what I have gained from this is that there's a spectrum of loss that ranges with the attachment to the lost item or the person. So if it's, say, the loss of a pet or the loss of a child, there's more pain involved in those losses than the loss of the home or the loss of an old position in the family tree, and things that just, to me, are they're significant, but they also bear different levels of meaning. So I guess that is my video. I am actually a really positive person, so please do not take this the wrong way. And I look forward to seeing all of your videos, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.